Well, I want to speak on
excuse me. Do you want me to speak first, or will I go on to the... Oh, yeah. Okay. Amendment number 6 is out of order. It's not relevant to the subject matter of the bill. They want to speak on the section, I think.
Speak on the section?
Yeah.
We'll speak on the section.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Senator van Turnhout.
Thank you very much. Sorry, and I did actually want to speak on section 1, but I'll move. No, that's okay. It's okay. So, in regard to section 4, I just maybe to say clearly, I was very fully supportive of the amendments from Sinn Féin, and I would ask, even if they are ruled out of order, they're not ruled out of order other than the fact of the role of this House. So perhaps they could be looked at by the Minister and brought in by the Government, because I do think they are important. Currently, the administrative arrangements for the protection of victims of human trafficking are set out in the Department of Justice and Equality's policy statement. Administrative immigration arrangements for protection of victims of human trafficking. Since this is the first time that forced labour will actually be defined in Irish law, there's been no formally identification of victims as victims of trafficking for forced labour, and no prosecutions have been brought forward. At present, when a victim leaves their exploitative workplace, they are known as a potential victim of human trafficking and are granted, if required, hostel accommodation in direct provision centres and a weekly allowance of €19.10. Now, Minister, I don't need to elaborate on this point further than to say that you're well aware of my concerns over the legality of the direct provision system and the payments under the administrative scheme. Potentially, victims are given basic access to healthcare and access to counselling for trauma if necessary. Until the victim is formally identified by the GNIB on the basis of reasonable grounds, it's a relatively low test as a person suspected of being a victim of human trafficking, they are not entitled to a reflection and recovery period or a temporary resident permit. A reflection and recovery period is critical because it allows an alleged victim to recover and ensures that the victim is not subject to removal proceedings. This has not been granted in any of the recent cases that have been worked on by the Migrants' Rights Centre of Ireland. The victim is left with a tolerated status in the state, but there is no specific timeframes or security that a reflection and recovery period or resident permit would give. The difficulty is that it can take up to 2 years to get a decision that establishes if a person is a suspected victim of human trafficking or not, and in these times they're left in virtual limbo in direct provision centres. In 6 cases, the Migrants' Rights Centre of Ireland is dealing with at present. The potential victims have been waiting over 18 months for a decision. So I'm not talking theory here, I'm talking about 6 real cases in Ireland. For example, S is a victim of forced labour and trafficking who made an official complaint to the GNIB in August 2011. She's still waiting for a decision in her case. S lives in a direct provision hostel. Her undocumented immigration status is tolerated and she will not be subject to be removed from the state. She suffers from poor health and is unable to afford the many trips to the hospital and her medication. Minister, I understand that the administrative immigration arrangements for the protection of victims of human trafficking will be put on a statutory footing in the IRP Bill 2010, which is currently stalled at committee stage before the Dáil. So the specific question I have, Minister, is can you confirm this and provide the House with an indication as to when the IRP Bill will proceed? And is it the Government's intention to bring its practice in line with our legal obligations as set out in the Council Framework Decision of the 19th of July 2002, that's 11 years ago, on combating trafficking in human beings and the Council of European Convention on Action Against Trafficking in Human Beings 2005. And I asked these questions at second stage and I'm asking them again because I am still waiting for an answer. Because of the uncertainty with the timeframe for the IRB Bill is why I decided that I would support Sinn Féin's amendments to incorporate the provisions of the Anti-Trafficking Directive relevant to the assistance, support and protection of victims of human trafficking into the bill. And finally, Minister, I will be interested to see the impact of this new definition of forced labour in Irish law will have on the forthcoming Employment Permits Bill, which I know is in the legislative programme. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Keane, she seems to have disappeared. She just indicated to speak. So, Senator O'Connor, please.
Although I accept the ruling on the amendments, more seasoned parliamentarians